Manchester stood still as the city gathered to honor one of its most beloved sons, Ricky Hatton. The atmosphere was heavy with emotion, pride, and gratitude. For many, it felt like saying goodbye to a family member rather than just a boxing champion. The man who once filled arenas with chants of "There's only one Ricky Hatton" was being carried through the same streets where his legend began, as thousands came together to celebrate a life that had meant so much to so many. On Friday, October 10th, 2025, Manchester turned into a sea of blue as the city prepared to bid its final farewell to the people's champion. Ricky Hatton, who passed away at the age of 46, was more than a boxing icon. He was the pride of working-class Manchester, a man whose heart belonged to the same community that raised him. His funeral became a moment that united not only boxing fans, but the entire city in shared grief and admiration. The procession began at the Cheshire Cheese Pub in Hyde, a place deeply woven into Hatton's story. From there, the route took on the shape of his life, from familiar streets where he trained and laughed with locals, to Hatton's gym where he built his career, and past the AO Arena, where he fought some of his most unforgettable battles. Every step represented a chapter of his journey, and every cheer from the crowd was a heartfelt thank you for the memories he gave them. People held up posters, waved flags, and wore sky-blue scarves, the color of his beloved Manchester City. Even his coffin was painted in the same blue, a touching tribute to the team and city he loved so dearly. By the time the procession reached Manchester Cathedral, it was clear this was no ordinary farewell. Thousands lined the streets, some wiping tears, others clapping in respect. Inside the cathedral, around 900 mourners gathered for the service, a mixture of family, friends, and sporting legends who had come to pay their respects. Outside, a brass band played, "Walking in a Hatton Wonderland," a song that once filled arenas during his fights and now echoed through the streets in a hauntingly beautiful farewell. Among those in attendance were some of the biggest names in British sport and entertainment. Football legend Wayne Rooney arrived quietly, representing not only his personal admiration for Hatton, but the unity between Manchester's sporting greats. Heavyweight boxing champion Tyson Fury was also present, visibly emotional as he paid tribute to a man he considered an inspiration. Fury had often spoken about Hatton's influence on his own career, calling him a trailblazer who showed young fighters what was possible. "Without Ricky Hatton," Fury once said, "there wouldn't be so many world champions from the UK today." Their presence at the service was a powerful reminder of how deeply Hatton's legacy reached beyond the ring. Inside the cathedral, the tributes were raw and heartfelt. Hatton's son, Campbell, who has followed in his father's footsteps as a professional boxer, spoke with courage and emotion. "He wasn't just my dad," he said, his voice breaking. "He was everyone's champion." The words struck a chord with everyone present, capturing the essence of what made Ricky Hatton so special: his ability to connect with ordinary people while achieving extraordinary things. Broadcaster Adam Smith described him as a working-class hero who never forgot where he came from, a man who carried his hometown's values into every fight and every victory. As the service concluded and the coffin was carried out, applause filled the air once again. The cortege made its way toward the Etihad Stadium, the home of Manchester City. It was a symbolic journey, one final trip past the stadium of the club he adored. Fans stood shoulder to shoulder outside the gates, many wearing shirts emblazoned with the Hitman and Manchester's own. It was as if the city itself was wrapping its arms around him one last time. The emotional weight of the day was felt everywhere. Former champions like Amir Khan, Tony Bellew, Anthony Crolla, and Frank Bruno joined the mourners, each sharing stories of Hatton's generosity and humor. Music legend Liam Gallagher, who famously carried Hatton's belts into the ring years ago, was also there, blending the worlds of sport and music in one final tribute. These were not just celebrities. They were friends, admirers, and fellow Mancunians, united by respect for a man who embodied everything the city stood for: resilience, loyalty, and heart. Outside the cathedral, fans spoke about the memories they cherished most. Some recalled traveling across the world to watch his fights in Las Vegas, where he took thousands of British fans with him. Others remembered bumping into him in local pubs, where he would laugh, buy drinks, and chat like any ordinary man. Despite his fame, Ricky Hatton never saw himself as above anyone else. He was one of them, a son of Manchester, through and through. As dusk began to settle over the city, the final journey of Ricky Hatton came to a close. But his spirit remained in every chant, every blue flag, and every story shared by the people who loved him. His career may have been defined by his fights in the ring, but his legacy lives on in the hearts of those he inspired outside it. For the people of Manchester, this wasn't just the end of a boxer's story. It was a farewell to a brother, a friend, and a hero who made them proud to be Mancunian. In the end, Ricky Hatton's funeral was more than a day of mourning. It was a celebration of life, love, and loyalty. It was a reminder that true greatness isn't measured by titles or trophies, but by the way you touch the lives of others. As the city said its final goodbye, one chant rose above all others, echoing through the streets and into the night. There's only one Ricky Hatton.